Hello, everybody. I am so honored to have this next guy on the show, Shilo Harris. He's an American war hero. He is an inspirational speaker. He's just an amazing guy. If the links will be in the show notes, you need to check out his story, what he went through, and most importantly, what he's doing today to help others. Shilo, welcome, brother.
Thank you so very much for that very warm welcome, Patrick. And again, I'm honored to be here because I'm getting interviewed by a hero and a veteran as well. So thank you very much.
Well, brother, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for we were talking a little bit. You were making me laugh, man. I mean, before we started.
I know you should have been recording the whole time, man. We've been cutting up and having a good time telling war jokes and stuff. Oh, well, not everybody would have got all of it, I'm sure.
I know, they would have been like, what the hell? I mean, what the fuck?
Like, wow, that's not funny. That's pretty dark.
It's pretty dark. He's asking about his haircut and stuff. Does my hair look okay?
Yeah, I started to wear my ears. I didn't know which set though. I was like, do I wear the red, white, and blue ones since we just came off the 4th of July, or should I wear my Spock ears today? My big ears? I don't know, man.
Brother,
trying to figure it out.
Thank you from one Army guy to another. I mean, thank you, sir, for serving this great country and giving so much. And like I said in the intro, you're giving so much back with what you do every day. For those of people who don't know who you are, Shilo, and they got to be living under a rock because you are everywhere, very popular. Tell us who you are, brother, and tell us that fateful day. If you just give us a synopsis about what happened in Baghdad on that fateful day in February 2007.
Okay, well, I want this to be a good back and forth because I love the energy that we're having. So, I'm going to do a brief intro and then we'll bounce around a little bit, tell some stories. And I'm so thankful to be here, man. And unfortunately, I didn't get an opportunity to research you because you just asked me, what do I do? I usually research, who's giving me interviews and that sort of thing. I think it helps. It makes it more personal.
Oh, absolutely.
But unfortunately, I didn't do my due diligence. So
I'm a retired cop and an Army vet, but I didn't do nearly as much as you, brother.
Well, I don't know, man. You just said it right there. That pretty much covers it. So we walk the same, we talk the same, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Got it, brother. And we've been cutting up for like the first 20 minutes already.
Well, we have that instant bond just because of the service, I think. But that's the great thing about veterans is, Shilo. I mean, you can get on the phone. I still talk to Army buddies I haven't seen like in 30 years. Yeah. But when you get on and you know what I'm talking about, and veterans who are listening to this probably do. I mean, you can not speak to each other for a long time, and then you get on the phone or you text, and it's like it was yesterday you saw them.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. And that's it. And like you just said too, it's like, and well, I guess we both said it. It's like we already feel like we know each other because we have walked a similar path.
Yeah.
And so in that aspect, for those veterans out there, you don't really need that intro. But what have I done since then? I got blown up in Iraq in 2007, as you mentioned, and a lot of people are actually more interested in what happened next.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, I am everywhere, and it's not something that I intended to do. It was just I was a happy guy because I'm alive, first of all.
Absolutely.
I'm above ground. I feel extremely blessed. I look around and I have a beautiful wife. I have beautiful kids. We're all healthy. I try to count my blessings each and every day. But when I was going around the hospital, I was kind of lost one day. And I say that loosely. I was looking for a doctor's office that I hadn't been to, and I was heavily medicated, as you can imagine. During that time frame early on, I was back-to-back surgeries for 3 years. I mean, it was just exhausting. But anyway, so I'm walking around the hospital and I walk in this door thinking it was my doctor's office, and I poke my head in and I'm like, hey, is this such and such doctor's office? And there's basically an audience on the other side. I'd be looking in at everybody looking at the speaker, which was behind the door. And the girl opened up the door and she said, oh, you must be our guest speaker. And I was like, actually, no, I'm just looking for my doctor's office. And she said, well, how long do you have?
And I was Speaker's like, not here, man. You want to fill in?
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. That was exactly how it went. And I said, well, I do have a few minutes. I'll be happy to, do some Q&A. I said, I've never spoke or anything. Well, that event or that little meeting that they were having was incoming cadre, a couple of new commanders, and stuff like that for the base, and some family members, chaplains, and that sort of thing, like support for the hospital.
Yeah.
I told them my story, the brief version. And then when they did a little Q&A, they loved it. Somebody that was in the audience said, "Hey, we're doing this thing. Why don't you come speak?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then
Well,
I
a
walked
lot
out
of
of there and
that's
I
not
was like,
normal, brother. A lot of people would have said, "No, man, I'm not doing that." You know that.
"Yeah." But I was like, I felt good about it. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah,
yeah, sure, man. I'd be happy to do it." And then I walked out of there and I'm like, "Oh man, what did I just commit to?" I'm not a motivational, so I don't know what I'm doing. And for the first 2 years of my, I guess the experience with speaking, I cultivated and my story and just kept growing it and turning it into something. And then one day somebody handed me a check. I was at a church and I was telling my story of faith, and how that affected me in my recovery. And I was talking about, my faith at this church. And afterwards, the pastor gave me a check for $1,500. And I was like, "What is this?" And he said, "It's an honorarium." And I said, "That people actually get paid to do this?" And he said, "How long you been doing this?" And I said, "About 4 years or so." And he said, "And you hadn't been paid?" And I'm like, "No, it's more like a hobby." And he goes,
yeah,
"It's a pretty expensive hobby if you're paying for all your own travel and everything."
yeah,
And which I was, because I just wanted to give back and
yeah.
serve.
Exactly, exactly.
And I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to help soldiers and veterans integrate back into society. I wanted their families to be taken care of. So I just became a yes guy. Well, then I was like, now I'm on the spot because now it's like, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to start charging people or at least start asking for an honorarium, because I've been putting money into this thing. And my family and my wife, she was always on me going, "We got bills to pay." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I'm doing something good."
Yeah, yeah,
And so as I started making it a career and getting into the entertainment, here come along a book, a writer come and met me and she's like, "Hey, I want to write your story." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." I was like, I don't know if I want to go that far yet. And she was like, "You're already here."
yeah,
She said, "You're on stage. You're a professional." She said, "You're doing great." She said, "I love your message. Everybody loves it." And I guess, the best way to say it, Patrick, is I just started putting one foot in front of the other and I started marching into what I felt like was my calling. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And of course I've done this and that and I've been blessed. And that's the biggest part is I have bad days like everybody else. I
yeah,
wake up some days and I'm like, I can't do this. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to do this for
yeah.
whatever, maybe pain or whatever I'm experiencing. But the thing is each day I wake up and I know how blessed I am. And then at the same time, I also want to make sure that I'm bringing honor to all those service members that are still serving, all the brothers and sisters that I served with that are still in uniform, and those that got out.
Yeah,
But more importantly, those that didn't make it home,
absolutely.
because those are absolute heroes. You and I, we're soldiers. We served in the military. Those men and women that gave us everything, they're the heroes, bro. Every
Amen.
day.
Amen, brother. Now, you mentioned we talked a little bit before we started about you mentioned your faith, and which is very important to me. I know it's important for you. When you were going through those, you mentioned 3 years, brother. You had like 70 something surgeries. They were doing, I was reading, they were doing experimental stem cell, regenerative, to grow your fingers back and all these things that you said, yeah, I'll do it. You said it, Shilo. You were like, I have bad days, but how did you just lean on your faith, or were you always like this, brother, before you were injured and went into the military? Did you always have that sense of, oh, drive, I'm just going to keep going forward?
That's a really, really good question. And I know you're going to have great questions. So that's one of my habits. I'm like, oh, that's good, but no, honestly, that's a really good question. I don't think I've heard it quite like that. So there was a moment,
Mm-hmm.
I got blown up really bad, of course. I was incubated for almost 50 days in a coma. When I came out of that, there wasn't a light switch on and off. And I was so messed up. I mean, I was so banged up that I was in airplane splints like this for weeks. My arms were stuck out. I couldn't even hardly move my arms. I couldn't move my fingers. I mean, I couldn't even walk. I'd been laying in bed. I didn't know how long at that point. The first time that they asked me to walk, they came in and they were like, "Sergeant Harris, we're going to get you up out of bed today." And I was thinking, oh yeah, this is no problem, because in my mind, there wasn't even a timeline or a time frame.
Yeah.
That day that I just talked about, even though it's a cornerstone of my recovery, I can't tell you if it was, 10 days, 2 days, a month after I first woke up, so to speak. And but I do remember they came in and they said, Sergeant Harris, we're gonna get you up and we have a goal of 10 steps today. Well, me being a combat guy,
You're
I'm
like,
like,
okay.
10 steps. I was like, man, I'm gonna own this hospital if that's the only expectation. Well,
What about some
three
push-ups?
little, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Just getting out of the bed was excruciating. I was thinking, wow, what am I in for here? And this is when everything started becoming a reality of my situation. At this point, up to this point, I'd been kind of pampered, other than, my bandages and stuff. I mean, it was pretty painful at times, but this was unexpected. I mean, it was like every bone, every joint was just painful. And I remember standing up and I was dizzy and it felt like gravity was just
Hmm.
tenfold on me. And I could only move my feet like three little tiny shuffles and I was done. I mean, exhausted, nauseous, exhausted. I laid back down in that bed and I mentally crippled myself.
Yeah.
And this is where the shift is that you're talking about. Where did I find that drive? And this went on for about 3 or 4 days. And when I say this, I mentally crippled myself
Yeah.
because I started thinking, there's no way I can do this. It's too painful. It's too hard. I don't want to do it. They can't make me do it. And I was already just telling myself, nope, nope, nope. This went on for like 3 or 4 days, and every time they'd come in and be like, hey, we're going to get you up and walk around today. And I'm like, nope, we are not getting up today. I'm going to stay right here in this
Right here in
bed.
bed.
And that went on. And then my mom come in one morning and she every morning, my mom would come in and feed me breakfast because, as I said, I couldn't use my hands. She would come in and feed me breakfast and she'd rub my feet because that was the only thing that wasn't all bandaged up. Everything else was bandaged head to toe. She's sitting there motivating me, trying to, and I was still being stubborn and hard headed. She left a little bit later. My dad came in. My dad, he's short, blonde headed infantry guy, kind of stocky. And he just stood at the end of my bed and had his arms crossed, just staring at me. He had these cold blue eyes. It's like they just seen right to my soul. I remember him standing there and it's just like 20, 30 seconds of silence, uncomfortableness. And I was like, well, what is it? And I held his posture for a few more seconds. And then finally he said, are you done, soldier? I was like,
Wow.
excuse me, sir? Are you done, soldier? And bro, I just had chills from head to toe. And at first I didn't even know what to say, but then I was like, well, am I done? And I just looked at him and I said, no, sir, I am not. And he said, then get your ass up and start doing the work that they're telling you to do. And he
Wow.
turned around and walked me out of the room and left me with my thoughts.
Wow.
They
Powerful.
come in a little bit later and they said, we're going to get you up today. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's get up. Let's
Yes,
get
ma'am.
started.
No, I'll get it by myself.
Yeah, don't send my dad back in here because I know what comes next. But yeah, that was it, man. And it was like that moment, he put it in perspective. It was
Yeah,
like, are
absolutely.
you really done, Shiloh? Are you going to pull the plug? Are you quitting? Are you a quitter? And when he put it in that kind of light, and then when he used that term soldier, you know as well as I do, man, when you put on that uniform, there's no quitting until you're in the box
No.
or until you go home, one or the other, because your team needs you. Everybody in my life needs me right now. My family needs me, and I'm not done. And I try to live by that philosophy each and every day. And when I have those hard days, I do. I'll go stand in the mirror and I'll look at myself and I'm like, all right, yeah, I know you're not done. What do you need right now? What do you need right now to help you feel successful and feel whole so you can go out there and keep doing what you're doing? And and when I say that, it's not just the entertainment. I mean, it's my family. I got to be a father. I got to be the problem solver. I got to be, the breadwinner still. Even though my wife works, I still like to walk on my own 2 feet. I like to represent my family. And so that's what we do, so we got the book out, the writer was so good with us. And anyway, but yeah, I mean,
It's
I
amazing.
literally just started marching, and I've been blessed in so many ways, man. And God's been so good to me.
Yeah.
So
It's
anyway,
amazing. And for people who don't know, I mean, you talk about this, Shiloh. There wasn't just that initial IED that hit your Humvee. There was a secondary. So you got blown up twice,
well, the
right?
secondary was the AT-4,
Yeah, yeah.
the handheld rocket that was in the back of the truck. So it
Exactly.
took off.
But you got blown up
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, I did. I know, right? Yeah, yeah.
But
And
that's
so, well,
God saying, "Hey, Shiloh, you're not no, you're not going here.
oh
I got
my
I
gosh,
got
you
I got
saying that.
I got plans for you, brother."
I agree. That's so good because there's some like the parachuting. You brought up parachuting earlier, or going skydiving.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
oh my God, I got to tell you this story. Now that you said that, okay, and you probably know this
I
too.
was
Were
in the
you
82nd.
airborne?
Yeah,
Were you
yeah, I was
airborne?
airborne. I was in the 82nd.
I didn't get to go airborne, so I had to do it after the military. All right. So my buddy though, he was 82nd, and which my dad, he was 82nd as well. So I thought that was kind of cool. But he got into like the ceremonies and stuff like that with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
skydiving, and they built an amazing team out there. I think it's Start Skydiving. They're in oh man, what is that town? It's right outside Cincinnati. Anyway,
Ooh,
there's a little town outside
yeah.
Cincinnati. And anyway, so they take people skydiving and they go to all these different ceremonies. Okay, long story short, I went skydiving for my first time, and it was a tandem jump.
Yeah,
I
you
was
always have to
not
start
nervous.
tandem. Yeah.
I was not nervous at all. First of all, I didn't have to do anything except hang in there,
Yeah.
And then secondly, the guys that my buddy I was mentioned was 82nd Airborne. He said, "Oh, I've been doing this 20 something years," and I'm like, "I feel good about it." We got up there, everybody's nervous, and I'm like, I'm ready because my dad, he said it was the most awesome experience he had ever had, and he
Yeah.
couldn't wait to go back. And I got him out there before he passed away. But anyway, so we rolled out of the plane and we're skydiving, free falling, and then he opens up the parachute, and when that parachute opened up, I was thinking, there's absolutely no way anybody does this for fun, because that parachute opened up so hard
It's that
that it
shock.
broke the main line. It broke the main line, and it like pulled one of my legs almost out of socket.
Oh,
Half the
jeez.
parachute collapsed, and now we're spinning. We're spinning and
Oh,
spinning and
jeez.
spinning.
And
And
you're
anyway, I just stayed in position, and I'm letting him do his work. I didn't freak out or anything, and I'm hanging on, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm like, oh, this is beautiful, even though I'm spinning around.
I want all the shit you've been through. You're like, yep, all right.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, he did a cutaway. He cuts away. He gets the reserve open, and boom, we go in, nice smooth landing. And the whole time he's like, "You good, brother? You good?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, man!" I'm like, "I'm great." And anyway,
Oh
we get
my
on the
God.
ground. Everybody had already left, but they
Yeah.
could see us from the buses, and so nobody knew it was me that had the cutaway. So we get the next morning at the event, everybody was like, "Did you see that cutaway?" And I said, "Man," I said, I couldn't see it. I said, "I was busy riding it out." Like, and you could see people going, "Wait, what did he just
What?
say?" And
Wait, that was you?
exactly. But that day that everybody was talking about it, they were like, "Oh man, how did you feel? What happened?" And I said, "Look, man," I said, "Here's the truth. I was not nervous, not one bit, because I knew that after everything that I've been through, the 80 plus surgeries, and that's to date, you're right. It was like 50, 60 surgeries, like back to back during that 3 years, 80 something surgeries today, and all the stuff I've experienced, and I'm still alive. God would
Exactly.
not fail me then. I knew that. I knew it in my heart, and I wasn't even nervous, not for 1 second. And after that, I was like, I'm gonna start jumping on my own. I don't want to do any more tandem jumps. And anyway, he goes, "Really?" He was like, "Man," he said, "I figured you'd be done." And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm just getting started." And anyway, so I'm almost certified. I only need about 2 or 3 more jumps.
Holy
COVID
shit.
happened, so I'll probably have to go back and do a refresher. But man, I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
I've only done, of course, I was doing static line with 82nd. I've done a couple tandem. I remember the first tandem jump I did. I had some young kid from the Air Force Academy. This is back in Colorado. And he's like, "Hey, man, you were in the Army, right? You were at the 82nd." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Don't do any of that crazy shit you guys do when you jump out. Just let me do all the work." But it was a blast. And Shiloh, it's either you love it or you hate it. But
Yeah,
it's such an exhilarating feeling. And statistically, brother, I mean, jumps are safe, no matter what people say. You have a better chance of getting in a wreck in your car than you do dying in a skydive.
absolutely.
But so
Yeah.
those, what advice would you give, people out there, brother, who are struggling right now, who are facing adversity, who are thinking, I can't go on. God help me. God's not listening to me. Whatever. I mean, what advice do you give them? I'm sure you get this all the time. People who come up to you, I know they probably do, and say, what advice would you give me? I'm really struggling now. How do I grow stronger like you? How do I get past that adversity?
And I'm really glad you asked that too, because um, there's a lot of different advices that I
Mm-hmm.
give, and a lot of them are off the cuff at the time. But I've been doing this long enough. I know that there's a lot of good organizations out there. First of all, the VA has made a lot of changes. I know that the VA still isn't 100% where I'm sure we would all like it. Yet at the same time, they're trying to change, and policy, it takes time to change. For those of you that may be struggling, be patient. But here's the thing that I've learned is the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You go to the VA, talk to your rep. If you can't get a hold of your rep, talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Generally the VA hospital, and this isn't just Shilo Harris, the author, motivational speaker. What I'm saying is this is Shilo Harris, the veteran. If I go to the VA and I don't get what I think I need, I tell them. I tell everybody. I'm like, so who do I need to talk to get the answer that I'm looking for? And if I try multiple avenues and I don't get the right answer, that I think I need, well, then I'm starting to ask a different question. Okay, well, why is this policy like that? Now, what can I do to encourage change? And, so being involved in the community is one of the first ways to get that change. And I encourage that all the time. But these nonprofits, I honestly, in my particular position, I get a little exhausted with the nonprofits, except they play a huge role.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I go to a lot of the fundraisers to represent the organizations, which I'm proud to do. And, so I see a lot of them. And I do get tired sometimes of doing those. Yet at the same time, I know how important they
Yeah,
are and the purpose that they serve. We need all of those cracks filled.
absolutely.
So if you think that you're going to get therapy by going on an outdoor event, look up veteran outdoor programs. If you think that you need a clinical thing, then look up clinical. If you're looking for a retreat, family thing, marriage, there, just about every category that you can think of that's going on in your life where you might need something, there is probably a veteran, probably a veteran run 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization out there that's probably willing to get you out on an event.
Yeah,
And that was one of the things that I pride myself on is being a part of those organizations. And I try to network a lot of them. As a matter of fact, I have a list of quite a few of them. My top ones on my website, shiloharris.com.
yeah,
And so I recommend, anybody that's in the audience, go and check that out, man. Look at
yeah.
some of those nonprofits. If you know somebody that's extremely disabled, this is another one. So right now we're in the middle of what they call the 100 Homes Challenge with Helping a Hero. And what we're doing is we're building adaptive homes for
Oh, I love
veterans
those.
that,
Yeah,
like people that have amputations, back injuries, people that just have mobility issues, arm issues. We're trying to get these adaptive homes out there, and we got a great partnership right now with Lee Greenwood and Johnny Morris from Bass Pro. Johnny Morris is actually paying 25%
it's
of
amazing.
those 100 homes, and we've already got about, I think, 40 homes built of our 100 homes.
It's amazing.
Yet 25% of Johnny Morris is covering, and he paid for the first 10 100%. And so any of the funds that are being raised at certain times, they have like, he'll come on like around the holidays, like the 4th of July. He offered to match any donations that came in, 100% match. So if they got $50,000, he was going to put in $50,000. And so we're trying to find veterans that need homes. So if anybody knows somebody that's a veteran that served and combat injured, from OIF, OEF, please go to helpinghero.org and nominate them. If you are a veteran, go there. But here's another one. Now this one was life changing for me in a lot of ways. I got off my meds. I got off my meds and I put down the bottle. I
Wow.
still drink socially every now and then, but 90% of the veterans that I meet that are struggling, part of their big coping mechanism is drinking. And I get it. I
Drinking, yeah.
understand it. I've
Yep.
been there. I was in the bottom of that bottle. My faith helped play a role in that. My family helped play a role in that. But listen, to anybody out there that thinks you're doing yourself a favor by grabbing a bottle of vodka or a bottle of whiskey to numb that pain, you're not doing yourself any favors.
No, no. And I
You're
think the biggest
masking a problem.
And I think the biggest thing, brother, you correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to hear your opinion really quick. I know you got a jet in a few minutes. Is I think the people I talk to, and you talk to tons of people, is sometimes they're afraid to come forward because they don't want to appear as weak, or they don't want to appear as fragile, or maybe they got their ego. Hey, man, I was in the, I was in the 10th mountain, or I was with the 82nd. It was just drilled into me that we suck it up and drive on. And I tell people that, you know, weakness is, I mean, it's okay to be humble. It's okay to say that you're suffering. That's actually a strength instead of a
It
weakness.
is. Absolutely. That's absolutely what you just said. Strength. It's a strength. But you're right. Naturally, us as service members and peace officers and first responders, we come at this, not being the weak link. That's what you're taught from day one. From day one, don't be the weak link. Don't be the weak link. And that's ingrained in you.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you are not weak to go and ask for a hand up. You being in a fragile state and not getting help, that's weakness. I mean, honestly. And my dad, he was the world's worst about it. My dad had PTSD really bad from Vietnam. And so I learned a lot of what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
Our house was very volatile. And so, I wanted to make sure to not go down that path.
Yeah.
I want my kids to have good memories of me. And I have great memories of my dad too, but some of the ones that stick out are some of the worst memories, of
Yeah.
course. And so those are the memories I want my family to remember, are those good memories.
Yeah.
And if I do get upset, I try to tell everybody I'm having a bad day. Y'all gonna have to give me some space.
But see, that's the key is when you communicate it, because I learned that the hard way. Instead of just, look, I used to isolate and just, not say anything.
Mhm.
But you said it, brother. That's so key, by just simple communication and saying, look, I'm just having a bad day. I need some time by myself. That's
Mhm.
huge.
It is.
That way, because they know, okay, dad's having a bad day and he just needs some space, instead of what I used to do is just isolate.
Hey, just so you know, that works out too, even when you're not having a bad day. And I'm trying to say this so nobody can overhear me in the other room, because you can be like, "Oh man, I'm having a bad day," and then everybody's like, "Can I get you something? Want me to make you a plate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could
Yeah, I
use a
probably use some
plate.
ice cream and
Yeah,
maybe some chicken
yeah,
and
yeah. Will
barbecue.
you make me an iced tea? Could you go mow the yard for me? Oh man, I'm having such a bad day."
I'm going to go play some golf. I'm just having a horrible day.
That's right. That's right.
Shilo
Oh,
Harris,
geez.
man, you are the man, brother. I got to have you back for a part 2. You're a
Ah,
hero,
I
brother.
know.
God bless you. Thank you for your service. Just so I know, if anybody wants to reach out to you, book you for a speaking engagement, read your book, see the movie, by the way, we didn't talk about the little movie you have,
Oh, yeah. So we just
Shilo,
got a shorty yet. We're
little
working on the movie
shorty,
still.
Shilo. You can find everything at shiloharris.com, correct, brother?
Correct. And I have some other veteran books up there. I just redone my website. So first of all, I want to say, if anybody finds any typos or any issues, be sure and let me know. Send me some feedback, because I'm really trying to fine tune it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take this opportunity with this new website and this. Everybody's coming out post
I
COVID
think it
now.
looks amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah,
Badass
I
website.
really we really worked hard on it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make sure I represent other veterans as well too. I've got some other products, that veterans are out there. We've got veteran business owners and stuff. I'm actually building another business right now, but let's talk about that next time. Man,
Yeah.
how about we do another show?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do a part 2,
Oh,
brother.
okay, yeah, send me a date, and then well, let's lock that in, because I'm really having a great time. I
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah. Well,
this.
you're a great conversationalist. You're funny as hell, like every military guy I know. And not only that, but you got a great heart, brother. And I love your attitude. And this is what people need to hear these days, because, a lot of veterans, a lot of first responders are struggling. So I
Yes, sir.
really appreciate you coming on, brother. And God bless. Go have fun with the family, and stay tuned, folks, for part 2 in the future. Shilo,
Absolutely.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, one thing I want to tell you though, before you sign off, I want to again say thank you very much for your service, brother.
Thank you,
I
brother.
mean, thank you so much for your service as a service member and a peace officer.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. God bless, man.
That's
Talk
it.
to you soon.
God bless you.